Hi, my name is Gabrielle Bryson. I am a QA and training manager for VPBS. This training is specifically for nurse practitioner supervisor. So if you are a nurse or a therapist or a TBS PM supervisor, please make sure that you stop this video module and please play the video module specifically for your discipline. All right, so NP supervisors. This one is regarding on how to ensure peer reviews are done correctly. So this is the supervisor quality assurance QA training. In the OneDrive, you will have 3 handouts that we'll be reviewing today on how to complete and ensure peer reviews are being completed correctly, and the tracking form is being done correctly. So if you want to pull up the OneDrive and the handouts as we go through here, or if you want to print out, you certainly can. I will be sharing my screen and we'll be going through them together. But you always want to refer back to those handouts. So if you do want to print them out or ensure that you have access to the OneDrive at all times, especially when you're reviewing the peer reviews and the chart and doing the tracking form, that would be great. So your first handout there should be the quality assurance responsibilities, NPs. So your handout should look like mine. Once again, I'll give you a couple minutes to try to find that. You can always pause the video if you need to get that from your supervisor, or if you'd like to print them out at the office. All right, so let's go through these bullet points here. If you have a new hire, it is important to notify the QA and training manager. So a practice peer review is assigned and completed during their VPBS specific training. When a current staff leaves or is terminated, include QA and training manager in email notifying their departure to remove them from the upcoming peer review list. If staff did not complete their peer review before departure, it will be your responsibility to complete the peer review and turn it in on time. If you have notice of their departure, ensure initial peer review and all past peer reviews, corrections, and supervision is completed prior to their departure. So it'll be your responsibility to ensure that everybody is turning in their documentation. So their peer reviews should have been turned in by the end of the month, or if you know when their departure is, trying to get that completed as soon as possible. If there are more important items that need to be completed, then you can certainly complete that on their behalf to ensure that's completed for the other staff member, so they can make their corrections. But we want to ensure that those are being completed. Every billable staff member will do a quarterly peer review on a coworker. As a supervisor, you will want to ensure your staff and your peers and your peer reviews are turned in on time to QA and training manager by designated dates. So once again, that's myself. I am the QA and training manager that will be managing peer reviews, and you want to ensure they're turned in to me on time. Once you have received the peer review from your staff, please follow directions in the reviewing peer review handouts on how to review the peer reviews for accuracy. All initial peer reviews will need to be turned in by the last business day of the month, no later than 5 p.m. to QA and training manager. If your staff have not turned them in on time, you will need to follow up with that staff member, provide them with a new deadline, no more than a week, to get them in. Notify QA and training manager of your staff's plan, you or your staff's plan, using a POA, plan of action, to ensure they are turned in on time the following month. Last day of the month, email QA and training manager notifying staff that was not turned in on time and your follow-up to get these turned in. Okay, so you want to be proactive and ensuring that staff members are turning them in. So you are to turn them in to me by the end of the first month of the quarter. So some supervisors give them an earlier deadline, like the 20th of the month, to ensure that you can follow up with any lingering staff members that have not turned them in yet, to ensure they turn them in so you can get them into me by the end of the month. On a regular basis, please go into the 2021 Medical Audit Tracker and notate all dates. Use the audit tracking instructions handout on how to complete the spreadsheet correctly. So we'll be going through those other two handouts here in a second, and that will make more sense here then. All right, so once again, if you have any questions, they should make more sense after review the next two handouts. If you still have questions after the next two handouts, please always go to your supervisor, or you can always email myself. So the second handout should be reviewing the peer reviews. Okay, so this is handout number 2. As a supervisor, you need to keep track of your staff peer reviews, ensure they're completed correctly, and turned into QA and training manager by the end of the month. Okay, so at the beginning of each quarter, the QA and training manager will send out the assigned peer reviews to supervisors. Supervisors will send peer reviews to all staff to complete their peer reviews. When staff send you their peer review, please ensure every line is completed in column E. Every line needs to be marked Y, N, or NA, and the top section filled out correctly. Ensure staff are using the items from the dropdown and all explanations are done in the comment suggestions areas and not within column E. All right. So at the top of the peer review form, ensure all sections are completed correctly. First is the staff member that is being reviewed, that the staff member's name doing the peer review. 2021 is already entered. Then we want to add in the collaborating physician. So here's an example of what that should look like. Reviewing, reviewer, year, and collaborating physician. We want to ensure staff are putting in the client's number and not the name of the client in the light blue box. Okay, so it has been common for nurse practitioners to be putting in the client name, but this is going to be shared for data collection. So we want to ensure that we are following HIPAA confidentiality regulations and putting in their SmartCare ID number in this area here. And not leaving it blank and not putting in the client's name. Next section. You can open up the client's chart in SmartCare to ensure your staff members are answering questions correctly. There are some questions that are required to be yes or no. If you see that they're marking, if they marked at NA, please send back to them to make corrections or review in client's chart to mark it correctly and review in next supervision. The first few questions are all yes or no questions. So these are some areas that you want to ensure that it's being completed correctly. So I'm not asking you guys to actually read through and ensure that they answer those questions correctly. But if you notice that there are some questions that they didn't answer correctly, they answered as NA, then I would like you to either look through them and answer them correctly, or if you have time, send it back to them, ask them to make those corrections and send it back to you. So if staff member marked any N's, ensure they notate the reason why the marked N in the comments, suggestions, notations of N box under each client review. Okay. So this will help reduce potential any dialogue back and forth with that staff member on why they marked it no. So if they put it in this box here, that will reduce a lot of confusion and understand where they got that answer from. Okay. We want to ensure they complete this process for all 5 clients. Please ensure staff completes on all 5 assigned clients, even if the client was recently discharged, as documentation is still relevant for the review. Okay, so there may be some clients that are on there that I tried to assign that has been seen within the last 30 to 90 days. But sometimes you guys discharge clients the day of or the week of that I select the clients, and that is okay. They're still relevant because the documentation of the client chart is relevant regardless if they're a current client or a client that we just recently stopped services for. So they can certainly do that peer review and marktate that chart. That whole peer review for that client's chart for that whole section there. On page 2 is regarding corrections and supervision. So your staff should be reviewing everything that was marked in throughout the peer review. The corrections should be completed and staff should start working on corrections as soon as they receive their peer review. All corrections should be completed by the second month of the quarter and emailed to supervisor. Staff should be notating the corrections they made at the bottom of the peer review and the details of corrections made by provider. So that is at the very, very end, and it will look like this brownish color there. Within supervision with your staff, you will want to pull up the client's chart to ensure everything is corrected and chart is in compliance. If there are any notated concerns of the client's chart or progress notes, ensure to fully review those items and forward to collaborating physician if needed. If there are lingering items that are waiting to be completed, like consents, continue review and supervision until completed. Notate in supervision form that the peer review was reviewed. Okay, so that is handout 2. Please let us know if you have any questions on that. The supervision form does have a checkbox to ensure that we were reviewing their peer reviews. Please make sure that that is being checked at least once a quarter, that you're reviewing that peer review with that staff member. All right, so let's move on to your last handout here. Last handout is the 2021 medical audit tracking. Okay, tracking form. So this coincides with the OneDrive. So let's read the first paragraph here. So QA and training manager or supervisor will provide you access to OneDrive 2021 medical audit tracking form to complete at least monthly. Ensure to select the peer review tab or random peer review tab to complete the data. So we're referring to this Excel spreadsheet here, okay? So if you do not have access to this yet, please make sure you email me or notify your supervisor so we can send that to you. Okay, it will have all 4 quarters in there, quarter 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, and then all these columns will be here. So you'll see that there's column A, staff name, B through F is clients 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so they'll do the first section for client 1, section 2 for 2, 3 for 3, 4 for 4, and 5 for 5. Okay, the person that is reviewing the client's chart is going to be in column G. So Smita is going to review Cassie's chart. Okay. All right, so this handout is more so directions to ensure that you're completing the Excel document correctly. So when putting in dates for your staff, you want to answer all questions for your staff in their designated row. Staff in column A is who you want to ensure all answers in the row is completed on. Do not use staff in column G. As a supervisor, it will be your responsibility to ensure staff is completing their peer review, doing their corrections, and reviewing in supervision. Initial peer reviews are to be completed by the end of the first month of the quarter. Corrections are to be turned in by the end of the second month of the quarter, and supervision being completed by the third month of the quarter. All dates should be entered in the 2021 medical audit tracking form before the end of the quarter, and the next quarter peer reviews are sent out. So once again, as a supervisor, you'll complete columns H through J. So H through J is copied and pasted here, as you'll see here. But I will also show you how to complete them on the form here. Okay. So once again, you'll look at columns or client or staff members in column A to complete it. So do not look at G. So this is not about Smita. This is about Cassie. Okay. So I will fill this out for HIJ for Cassie. Okay. So column H. Some supervisors like to CC QA and training manager, so me, when sending staff their initial peer reviews to make corrections. Some supervisors like to collect all their staff peer reviews and send QA and training manager in one email. When you send peer reviews to QA and training manager, you will complete column H. Okay. So you will have a deadline for your staff member to send you their audits. You'll review them. Some supervisors like to CC me on the email for that person to make corrections. So when I send it to, I send Cassie's email or peer review to Samita on, let's use today's date, 4/8. Send it to her on 4/8/21. And I also CC Gabby on the email. So I put 4/8/21 of when I sent that peer review to Gabby. Like it says, the other option is that some people like to collect all their staff members' peer reviews and send them all to QA and training manager at the same time, but only send the actual peer review to that staff member and supervisor in a separate email. That is your choice on whichever format you'd like to choose. But if that was the case and I had 3 supervisees and I sent them all to Gabby on the same date, I would also put that date for all of my supervisees. Okay, so my 3 staff members there. So I hope that makes sense. Once again, you can always contact your supervisor for assistance if you need help filling these items out or contacting me. Column I, when staff complete their corrections and send to you their corrected peer review, you will complete column I. Okay, so me and Cassie met on May. And we did, she completed her corrections in May, and she sent me her corrections when she was done on May 20th. So I will put in May 2021 that she emailed me her corrections, her corrected peer review. So that is that column, column I. Column J is completed when you have supervision with your staff. Data supervision is entered in this column. Okay, so then I collected all the corrections and then we met 2 weeks later. So we met maybe June 2nd. And so I put June 2nd that we met and had supervision. I notated in the supervision form and checked it that we reviewed her peer reviews for all 5 clients in this supervision. Okay, so that is that one. Column K is completed by QA and training manager. So you will leave that one blank. You were to not fill that one out at all. That one will be completed by myself, QA and training manager. Okay, and so that is all areas of this section here. For any random peer reviews sent out by QA and training manager, you want to ensure that you go to this tab to complete data. You will complete column J and K of corrections being sent and supervision completed. Okay, so you want to make sure you're clicking on this tab here, random peer reviews. It will have the same format, but I will fill out some columns here that saying that the new hire sent me the peer review and I emailed it to a current staff member to make corrections if needed on those 5 clients. You only have 2 columns to complete: when they turned in their corrections and when you reviewed it in supervision. So the same format here is what you'll complete in the random peer review tab there. Okay. So that is the end of the 3rd handout. So that is the end of this training for you. So that was pretty quick there. I hope it wasn't too painful. Now that we are done, we can sign off that we have completed this training. So it will be the supervisor quality assurance responsibilities acknowledgement form. You want to put your name there. My supervisor or designated supervisor has reviewed the quality assurance QA responsibilities handouts and ensured I know my duties as a supervisor regarding chart compliance. I understand as a supervisor, I'm responsible to maintain and keep up with all items notated in the handouts provided. So the first section here is regarding therapists, TVS, NPs. You want to come down to the NP supervisor section here. Okay, so my supervisor has reviewed the following handouts to ensure I understand. Supervisor quality assurance, supervisor's QA responsibilities, audit tracking instructions. Okay. Then you want to type your name and sign it and send it to your supervisor. Okay. Once again, please make sure you email me anytime, Gabrielle Bryson, Bryson. First name Gabrielle, Gabrialle. Email me anytime. For any assistance on how to complete this, you can always contact your direct supervisor. Thank you for joining the supervisor team, and we wish you the best, or I wish you the best in your position here, and I'm sure we'll be communicating soon enough. Thank you and have a great day.